Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Miss Jackson if you're nasty.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's from a Janet Jackson song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's so crazy that you are starting with that. Did you hear about that the Michael Jackson biopic is already facing so much backlash?
It looks so generic and just like I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm done with music biopics. Maybe I'm just over it, you know?
You know, I was telling someone at work, I was like, look, here's my thing. Why can't we have music biopics about someone that maybe we don't know a lot about, you know? I feel like Michael Jackson's life has been so publicized and so covered for years. I feel like everyone knows, everything that he went through, from a young age to adulthood. But this is going to be an obscure reference, and maybe I'm biased because he's from Texas. Where's the Buddy Holly biopic?
Gary Busey won an Oscar for it back in the 70s.
Okay, never mind.
Called the Buddy Holly story.
Okay, all right. Hang on. Stay with me.
Okay.
Where's the, where's the Beatles biopic?
They're working on it.
Okay, hang on.
Sam Mendes is making 4 movies.
Yeah, no, I know. I was hoping you would.
Yeah.
Not necessarily catch on the bit, but I was hoping you would answer it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bit was I just keep naming
Oh, gotcha.
Where's the Freddie Mercury biopic?
I hated that movie, man.
But yeah, no. Apparently, shout out to our boy Coleman Domingo. I guess he said something that rubbed Paris Jackson the wrong way, and it's causing some controversy. He apparently, because he's playing Joe Jackson, Michael's father. Mm-hmm. Well, and they got Jafar Jackson, Michael's nephew, to play him, so they're at least keeping it somewhat in the family. But
Sure.
Apparently Coleman said something about how wonderful it was to work really closely with Paris and the rest of Michael's direct family. And apparently that wasn't the case. Paris Jackson was I have had little to no involvement on this film. I met with the filmmakers once. So why are you saying that I've been helping on a movie that I don't even feel comfortable? And look, I think Coleman was just trying to be respectful, I don't think he was trying to stir up anything, but I'm also biased because I love Coleman Domingo, so
yeah, man, I don't know. I
agree.
There's something with these music biopics. You know what I mean? I am now of the mindset where it's got to be something either really unique, really different. I am genuinely am intrigued by the Sam Mendes project. I think it's going to be really interesting. We'll see how it goes. Let's see if it's going to be a super huge deal or if it's not. I don't know.
Because they're filming all 4 back to back to back, right?
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, because you have to. Because if they interconnect, you want to get the interconnectedness now. You don't want to have to remember where things were, And I'm just wondering how he's going to do it. You know what I mean? For me, I hope, and I don't know how possible this is, but I'm hoping that when they're together and when the movies sort of interconnect, that it's all just from different camera angles. We never get the same shot twice, in a movie, right? I'm hoping that it's going to be truly from the perspective of each person, um,
Kind of
where
like that like
like
James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain movie. Like
maybe I didn't
his,
see it. Um,
neither did I, but
yeah,
that also seemed really interesting.
like I don't want it to be like I don't know. I don't know how to say it. I just want it to be really interesting and really different. I want it to be unique and I want it to separate itself from other music biopics because like I have absolutely no desire to see the Springsteen one. Like it I was on the fence about um the Chalamet Bob Dylan one. I saw it and it was fine. Um I really like Bob Dylan's music and so I think it'd be really cool to see whatever. But I think that I'm Not There was better because it was so different.
Hmm.
Like if you're gonna do something like that, put a little spin on it. You know what I mean? Let's not
Yeah.
go, cradle to grave or cradle to retired or whatever this is. Um,
Yeah.
I think the best biopics sort of circumvent that formula and give us something different while maintaining the integrity of the person's story, personality, and their essence of who they were. Like Steve Jobs, for instance.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. Yeah. A shout out to I'm Not There episode and our Steve Jobs
Yeah.
episode. Um, man, I love Steve Jobs. That movie
Yeah.
was so fucking good,
That
dude.
movie's awesome.
Um,
That movie kicks so much ass. Oh, speaking of Steve Jobs, that is directed by Danny Boyle. Um, I went to go see Keeper, right?
uh-huh.
And
Yep.
unfortunately, the highlight were some of the trailers because
Ah, son
um,
of a bitch.
they showed a trailer for the fucking new 28 years later. It's already coming out in January.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
Well, because they filmed it. Well, here's what's crazy. It's directed by Nia DaCosta,
yeah, I saw that.
who did the pseudo remake sequel of Candyman,
Yeah.
which fucking kicks so much
Yes.
ass.
Yes.
Um, I think they were filming it simultaneously.
They
Like,
must
I
have
think Danny.
because I was like, oh, I was super surprised. I didn't know there was a trailer. I didn't know that they were already done. Um, so that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I
So I'm
think it was
excited for
one of
that.
those like Danny Boyle's production was over here, and then Nia's production was over here.
That makes
But
sense.
see, but then I did read that there's going to be a third part to this 28 years later with Danny Boyle back.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's almost like this is like the glue that's going to put these two parts together.
Yeah, I'm
The
really
bone
stoked. It
temple.
looked awesome. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then they showed a trailer for this movie called um Hollum that looks unbelievable. It looks so scary. I can't wait to see it. Adam Scott's in it.
Oh
Um,
shit!
yeah, it looks so good. And I was telling our buddy Zach about it. I was like, "Hey man, I saw Keeper. It was whatever, um, but you got to see this trailer." And he said, "Dude, a lot of the reviews say go see Keeper for the Hollum trailer." So I was like, "I'm on to something," you know?
Dude. Okay, before we get into the episode, I just want to say because we were talking about it off mic. I was so hyped for Keeper. And then you told me you were gonna go see it, and I was like, man, you gotta tell me how it is.
Yeah,
Because I was so hyped. Long Legs was so good. I haven't seen The Monkey yet, but I've heard
it's
it's
fun.
it's so great.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, Osgood Perkins, like, let's go. And then you told me it was just okay, and I was like, oh no,
Again,
because
there
like,
were things I really liked about it. There's this specific character design that I loved, that sort of gets ruined, but whatever. And then there's some really cool cinematography, camera tricks that I really, really liked. Some really cool blending of environment and person that I really, really liked. But overall, yeah, I mean, it was alright. Yeah,
yeah, because when you know I I do read reviews of, especially for movies I'm really excited for. And and if critics are like, it's fine, I'm like, well, what do you know? Like, I haven't seen the movie yet. But when you tell me it was just fine, I'm usually like, oh shit. If he said it was just fine, then it's
Yeah.
probably
I mean,
just fine.
see it.
Well,
Again,
I don't think
there
we
is
got it.
value in this movie. There's some really cool stuff going on.
Oh, and that's if we got it. I don't think we got it. I mean, we God, it's pissing me off. I keep getting notified about the tickets are on sale for Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, we're not fucking getting it. Because on Fandango, it keeps saying, like, oh, notify me. I'm like, but here's the weird thing. Why wouldn't we get it? Because Lionsgate is putting it. Is it Lionsgate? I think it's Lionsgate.
Yeah.
Whoever. It's a major studio, so why the fuck aren't we getting it? But yeah, I don't think we got Keeper. But yeah. Man. Anyway, with that being said, buddy, everyone, welcome back to the show. Jeremy, what are we talking about today?
Okay. So, let me pull that. Today we're talking about a really unique film. We are talking about the 1973 animated sci-fi psychedelic film Fantastic Planet, or Le Planète Sauvage. So
When I got home, I was telling Ashley about it, and she was like, was this your pick or was this Jeremy's pick? I was like, oh, it was Jeremy's. And she was like, that makes sense. I was like, yeah, but we own it. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, we own the movie. I was like, I'm pretty sure your Meemaw got it for me a couple of Christmases ago. She was like, that's disappointing. And I'm like, it was on my wish list. She probably just picked it. But then like I grabbed it off the shelf and I read, it's like, yeah, it's Fantastic Planet and I read it to her. She was like, well, that's interesting. I'm like, yeah. Like I said in our tease last week, this movie did make it onto one of my lists, I think last season. But I was like, man, this is going to be really daunting because I truly didn't know anything about the movie. And then when I put it on my list, that's when I read up about it and I was like, oh no, I don't think I'm ready for this one. But then also in our tease last week, shout out to It's Just Cinema. He made the film less daunting, and I was just like, okay, you know what? Like maybe one day I'll watch it. And that day was Sunday. So Jeremy, how did you find out about this movie?
I'm almost positive it was a Taste of Cinema list. I don't even think they're around anymore, but they were on Facebook, and they would always do these lists like every day or every week or whatever, where it was like the 10 most or the 10 best like animated films, or the 10 best like surreal sci-fi films, and I would always look,
Mm-hmm.
and Fantastic Planet was on one of them. And then I'm pretty sure maybe Cinefix did something about it, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I don't remember how long ago it was. It was years ago that I watched it. I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked the animation style.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like a storybook come to life. The messaging is clear, the allegory is clear.
Yeah.
But I like the way it's presented. It's loosely based on a book. I forgot the name of it. It's called Ohms in Seri. I don't know what that means in English, because it's obviously in French. And I don't know, I really kind of liked it. And then a couple of years after that, I saw a short film that I will tie into this. that sort of put it in perspective on how the story was constructed in such a way that would get its message across without it being too like over the top or too preachy or too sort of on the nose. And I go, that's what it is. That's, I get it now. And I get why it worked, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I just really like just the vibe of this movie. Like the soundtrack is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, it is so good and it's so unique and so cool. Um, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I
I just liked how cool it was. I disagree when people call it a surreal film because that's not how I define surrealism, but it's definitely a really cool sci-fi film. Absolutely,
yeah, yeah. I think maybe the surrealism comes into how it's animated,
maybe
but I also wouldn't say it was surreal. It surreal would be like if the whole movie was just a Salvador Dali film come to life, I feel.
sure.
Um but yeah, I was really interested to see this allegory of of all kinds of things of racism, of um there's something else I read about a lot of the allegory and I've completely forgotten it.
Well, it's like it's a combination of things, right? Obviously racism, activism, um, it's totalitarianism, it's animal rights, also.
Mhm.
It's a lot of things wrapped up into one, which is really interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I also love the animation style. I feel like it's what maybe inspired the Beatles' Yellow Submarine movie, maybe. Um but I love that, you know, it's almost like the animation that Monty Python used
It
for a lot
is.
of their wait, it is the
It is.
same animation
Yeah.
style? Okay, that makes sense. Um and I love that the animation is so rigid yet so fluid simultaneously,
Yeah, I mean, it
Like,
is like I said, it's like a storybook, right?
yeah,
And I really like it. So
yeah. Well, buddy, do your best to kind of tell everyone what this movie is even about.
all right. So the movie takes place on this planet, inhabited by intelligent, blue fish-like humanoid aliens called drags, and they keep these little things as pets, and these little things are called ohms, and they're human beings, right? There are wild ones, of course, but a lot of them have domesticated them into pets, and they're very small. They're almost the size of like insects or rats, right?
Mm-hmm.
The humans are not proportionate to the drags, and the movie begins with a woman clutching her baby, and then we see this giant blue hand sort of toy with it like a plaything, like a toy, right? And kills the mother while as they dropped it from such a high place that the mother died, and they keep the baby, and this little girl keeps the baby as a pet, and the narration is this baby as an adult telling us about his story and his life and how he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see a lot of really cool things about how the drags live, what their culture is like, what the planet is like. I really appreciated the time the film takes just to show us some wildlife and how the ecosystem works and how the food chain works and how these things sort of all flow together without explaining it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But so this little girl, this little drag girl has this ohm, names him Tear, and Tear is our main character. Um, the young girl goes to school by wearing a headband, and the headband sort of um like telepathically gives her information in her brain. Like it is it sort of just inputs information into her brain. And the ohms have these little collars that they wear that the drags can control, so they don't get too far, they can't run away or whatever. And it turns out that that collar can pick up the transmission from the headband, and so Tear is learning a lot of things about the drag history and their culture. And the drags don't really believe that ohms can understand um their language, and if they can't understand the language, then they can't understand anything about them, so it's fine. But the her father doesn't want her to hold him while learning anymore because they think it's distracting her, right? Whatever.
Hmm.
um However, Terror continues to learn and absorb not only their language, but their culture and their routines and their way of living, and sort of understand how they work so he can basically escape and take them down, right? And
Hmm.
when he does finally escape, he finds a group of wild ohms that live outside of the city. And through some trial and error, he gains their trust. He takes the headband with him, and shows them that they can learn things from this headband, and it will transmit, these this information to them, and you guys can learn the language, and we can, revolt, and we can, get our independence. And they do, and it comes with um a lot of death and dismemberment, and because the drags will just step on them like they're insects. And when one does, they end up taking him down, and they end up killing one of the drags, um showing them that these ohms are not as harmless and as docile or as unintelligent as they think they are.
Hmm.
Eventually, the ohms led by Tear find a um like an old drag rocket facility that they hide out in, and they build a city, and they find ways to miniaturize the equipment from the drag so that they can use it as their own for their own perspective sizes. And they build two rockets, right? They then take those rockets, and they go to this nearby planet where it turns out that when the drags do their daily meditations, their beings, their consciousness, their whatever, ends up on this planet that they have landed on, onto these um marble like statues, where they mate with other beings in exchange for goods, knowledge, whatever, right?
Hmm.
And so Tear and the Ohms take this opportunity to destroy these statues so they no longer have a means to mate or communicate with these other beings that are significantly helping out and basically having their whole society thrive, right?
Hmm.
Then and only then do the drags realize that the Ohms are to be not only respected and seen as equals, but they have an agreement and a truce. And so the drags create a man made planet that they call the Fantastic Planet. And that's, well, they also call it Earth. And that's where the Ohms live. And that's fantastic.
Yeah. Um, something I wasn't expecting uh, in the movie was how little dialogue there it was.
Yeah.
Um, and of course that makes sense because the Ohms don't really, at least the domesticated ones, don't really speak. They're used as pets, so they don't really speak. Um, but I wasn't expecting the drags to speak as much as they do as well.
Hmm.
I when the film started and I was like, oh, we're getting very little dialogue. This is what the movie's going to be. But I guess it makes sense that the drags would speak because they are intelligent beings. Um, but yeah, that really threw me off. But I really liked that the filmmakers really letting the animation and the story tell itself without having
Yeah.
exposition for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. There's moments of just like seeing wild animals interact with each other. It doesn't really matter to the story at whole, but it's interesting to see how this planet works. Um, I think a recent example, I mean, and I cannot sing this show's praises enough. If you want to see something that's similar to this, but more of a survival story and sort of intelligent people finding ways to adapt to a unique situation and thriving and surviving, is Scavenger's Reign. Everybody has to see Scavenger's Reign. It is incredible. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. It is on HBO. Um, but you have to see it. It is unbelievable. Um, but so I liked that we were getting sort of like these moments of just here's what life is like on the planet, which I really liked. Um, and here's what I meant earlier by I'm going to give you an example of why I think this works. Is this is going to contain spoilers. Okay, so
Okay.
but with this movie, right, we are seeing a an injustice and a negative power dynamic against us as humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
We They have flipped it to where the humans are the ones that are being treated as less than, treated as pets, right? In terms of like animal rights activism, or even in
Mm-hmm.
terms of racism. um and because like this works for racism because the Ohms are just humans. Like, I mean, it doesn't, the race doesn't matter, it's the species, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it works on that level to show that, humans are humans, right?
Yeah.
Like, we, like, if you were to put yourself in this situation, any sort of animosity or any sort of differences you have with each other don't matter because of this great threat that you all face together, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
which I like. But again, it's sort of flipping the perspective so you can see yourself as the oppressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you an example of why this works and how it turns something that you hear about all the time and give you a new perspective on it, and you really think about the horrors, the dangers, the sheer um the devastation, the wrongness of it all. This is going to contain a spoiler for an Ari Aster film. Um, but there's something strange about the Johnsons? Okay,
Ah.
okay.
Uh-huh. Yes.
There's something strange about the Johnsons. Everyone talks about it who's seen it, and they always say that it is incredibly disturbing and it's really thought provoking. because Ari Aster is flipping the perspective, right? It's showing you the same thing, but he's just changing some of the roles to where now you understand how horrible this thing is
Mm-hmm.
because you're seeing it through a different lens, even though it's the same. Like, so the story is, here's the spoilers. The story is, in this family, the Johnsons, the you have a father and a son dynamic where the son is sexually abusing his father. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see the normal sort of tropes of, sexual abuse. However, when you see it from a son doing it to their father, you tend to pay more attention now to what these signs are, what is the dynamic like now, what behaviors are being displayed by either party, even though if they had just switched the roles to the father molesting the son, nothing changes. Like, the roles that they're playing are still the same as abuser and the abused, but when you change the perspective on it, you're paying more attention to it. You are seeing truly how disgusting it is. And now Ari Aster has you, sort of like, oh my God. Like, unfortunately, it happens so often that we hear about it in the media and in the news and, things like that, where I wouldn't say desensitized, but it's sort of, you become sort of numb to it after a while. You're sort of like,
Yeah.
like, I don't know how to picture this in my mind because I'm hearing it all the time, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when you see it like that, you're like, oh my God, it's disgusting, you know? And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this movie is doing that with animal rights, with racism, with um a I would say totalitarianism.
Mm-hmm.
Um I would say um in a few of the things that I read and that I watched, they would talk about the scene where they gas the ohms as
Yeah.
a genocide. That's how they would describe it. Um and I saw that multiple places. And so, now we're talking, like, what's happened all over the world, like in terms of, like, let's pick another film, The Act of Killing. Now we're talking about the genocide of the Indonesian people, right?
Mm-hmm.
1 million people, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so now we're talking not just in terms of, you know, humans versus animals, we're talking humans versus humans and cultures versus cultures. And I think the film highlights that very well. Um, Also because they're sort of humanoid. I mean, the aliens, the Drex.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's it's the film, something I really liked about it, and I'm not trying to like skip ahead or anything,
It's fine.
but as we've been kind of talking, you know, about it in the examples you've given me, which definitely help out because I did read about the allegorical aspects of the film, which I 100% agree with. But something else that um, I really liked about the movie in its allegory is that there there's hope at the end. You know that the Ohms and the Drags form a treaty and form peace. Um, to use an example, a book that I genuinely love. We were forced to read it in high school, but I truly love it. Animal Farm.
Mhm.
Um, you know, uh, George Orwell, right? That's who wrote
Mhm.
Animal Farm. Yeah, he offers a very pessimistic view of that, of essentially the cycle of violence and oppression can potentially continue, as we see again in Animal Farm. The animals rise up against the humans, but then the animals start to adopt human qualities, and become no better than the humans. Um, and I really love that the film offers hope at the end, that we as a people can change. We can. We Every human is capable of change. I heard a quote very recently, from an actor I genuinely love, and this didn't uh, make me love him any less, but it was a little disappointing to hear, from William H. Macy,
Hmm.
um, which he said people don't change, which I'm like, and he wasn't saying it to be pessimistic or negative. He, in context of the question he was asked, he was essentially saying, like, when we're born, that's who you are, and people don't change inherently, but it's, this is who you are. And on the one hand, I get that, but on the other hand, we do change throughout our lives. I'm not who I was, 10 years ago. At least, God, I hope not. I don't feel like I'm who I was 10 years ago. I know you're not who you are 10 years ago. But, back to the film, I like that the film leaves us with a glimmer of hope that things can get better. But we have to make sure that we make them better,
Yeah.
essentially.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So,
um
okay.
okay.
We've done a couple of animated films on this show.
uh
Um, Not very many. Um, but we've never just stopped to talk about animation. Okay.
yeah.
And I wanted to talk about this because while watching it, I was reminded of a lecture that Dr. Whitney gave in college. So shout out Dr. Whitney, um, at Tech, and we had started the conversation with, like, when you think of animation, what do you think of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of people were like, well, Disney. I think of, cartoons. I think of like Saturday morning cartoons. I think of, like things that children watch, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, who told you that animation is for children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, I don't know, nobody. It just is what it is. And she goes,
Yeah.
nowhere else in the world does animation equal children, right?
Right.
Because that it's pretty much an American thing that they have taken the style of storytelling, this art form, and sort of made it into just for kids, right? There are obviously examples of animation not for children, right? In
Yeah.
in the United States, but the majority, it's sort of like, yeah, animation's for kids. And she goes, yeah, no one said that. You know what I mean? It's just like our culture and our society have sort of molded it to that, but other countries are like, animation is just another way to tell a story. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, with this, and you know, Japan uses animation for anything and everything. Um,
Yeah.
I find it so fascinating that when you put a story into animation, you sort of unlock another, like, you have less limitations Unless
Agreed.
that limitation is, of course, budget, time, manpower, right? Those
Yeah.
things sort of, whatever. Like this movie took, I think, like 6-7 years to make, just because they would lose
Oh
funding and
God.
then they would come back. It's technically a Czechoslovakian film. That's where it was animated. Um,
Ah.
yeah. But so, like, I have this theory that if we were to sort of like accept that animation is an option, I think that these quote unfilmable books could be made into movies
I
if you
agree.
would just use
I,
animation. And my example is Blood Meridian. If you
okay.
take Cormac McCarthy's book Blood Meridian, which is deemed to be unfilmable, like you cannot, it is impossible not only for the language of his descriptions of landscape and tone and feeling and just like his world building, like that's hard to convey into film. I get that. But also, the things these people do in Blood Meridian is horrific. Truly horrific. And you can't just not put it in, right? Because it's part of the story
Yeah.
and it's part of who these people are and it's part of, if you want to call Judge Holden a person, like it's just who he is and what he does. And I think if you were to animate Blood Meridian, I think it would work. I think you could put some of that creativity of the language that Cormac uses into animation. I think it would work. And also, you have that separation from
Hmm.
animation to live action. It sounds silly, but I also have examples. um, Seth MacFarlane created, of course, Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, right?
Right.
Which work well. I'm partial to American Dad myself, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
American Dad is
so good.
his best show.
It's his best show.
I will die on that hill.
He created a live action show with Brenda Song and Seth Green.
Oh yeah.
Probably about 10 years ago, maybe. And it didn't work. He's using.
Weren't you talking about this the other
I don't
day,
know, maybe.
or a couple episodes ago?
Oh,
Maybe.
we might have. Maybe I brought this up before. Because he's using the same jokes that he would in Family Guy or American Dad or whatever. But when you see a live person say it, it doesn't work. It's like, it's too far, it's gross, it's uncomfortable, it's offensive, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's that separation that's not
Right.
there. Like now I'm seeing a person say it and I'm like, ugh, a cartoon is different.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, because you're right. It is a very. I'm gonna go circle back to what you started with, which is it is a very Americanized viewing of cartoons. That they're for kids, Which yes, kids cartoons exist and have existed, but I do think I think there needs to be adoption of animation for anything. I think the problem is how the film industry is in America. They see animation as non-profitable, which I think is ridiculous.
I agree.
But anyway, but you're right. It's to take our love of American Dad, for example. If we were to see a live action version of American Dad, I don't think it would be very funny. People would hate Stan as a misogynistic, absentee father, racist, xenophobic, homophobic asshole. Roger the Alien wouldn't work
No.
at all. It just it wouldn't land. I think the reason why it's so funny and so good and works is in animation is because you're right. There is that separation. It's free from everything. You know, you can't see an actual person saying half the things that Stan says to Francine or Steve.
Right.
But in animation, well, those aren't as far fetched anymore, you know. So yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think it's, and I think again, I think it's that separation of freedom, the freedom that animation allows for voice actors, for creators. Because you're right, you know, the rest of the world understands that animation is for anyone and everyone. Um, I had a full on meltdown at work the other day, learning about this collector's edition of Perfect Blue, and just like, oh my god, I need it. And everyone was like, "What's Perfect Blue?" And I'm like,
Have to see it. It's so good.
"You
I
have to
rewatched
watch
it
it."
last week.
I fucking love Perfect Blue. Thank you. I need to watch Paprika, but you're right. You know, it is so crazy that, you know, that American audiences see cartoons as inherently for children. You know,
Well, and it didn't start out that way.
right?
Right.
No. Yeah,
It just it morphed into that somehow. And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm suggesting that, you know, all animations for that's not what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm not an
no,
idiot.
no. I think well, and I think the other thing now, looking at this from a, you know, a 2025 lens, is, you know, the things that are deemed as kid friendly, you know, are given their own kind of special platform. You know, Nick Jr., Disney Jr., um, and that's inherently, you know, for toddlers to a certain age group. You know, but then, you know, Nickelodeon has shows that I know are, you know, for kids. Same with Disney. Same with Cartoon Network. But I think the creators that, like, you know, of shows that we really love, like, uh I meant to watch it before we got started, Smiling Friends. I think Smiling Friends is fucking hilarious.
The
um
best show.
and I think it's because, you know, Zach Hadel and Michael Cusack, um I think they understand that animation is so freeing. And granted, Smiling Friends may be an extreme example considering they dabble in live action, CGI, claymation, rotoscoping. You know, they dabble in all of it. But I think it's also a true example of, if we were to adopt animation as more than just for kids, but as a true art form. Because, you know, I'm looking over at my bookshelf and I'm trying to look at books I've read that I'm like, would it work as live action or would it work better as animation? And I see a couple that I would be like, you know, I think it would really work as animation. Granted, they're not serious books; they're funny books, but I don't think I could see it working in live action.
Sure.
I think it would work better as animation, um, but we'll never see it.
Well, and you know, all that to say, you know, is that like this works
Mm-hmm.
because of its style, because of its animation.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, good luck doing this in live action anyway, especially in 1973. Like there's that one super weird monster. I think it's the thumbnail, the image that they use on HBO.
Yeah.
The tentacly thing, eyeball thing.
I
Yeah.
must. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You know, it's funny you bring that up. I did have that thought watching. I was like, you know, what would this look like in live action?
Bad.
Granted, Yeah, it would look bad. Granted, maybe it would look better if it was like made today.
Sure.
But it had it been made in 1973, yeah, it would look bad. But granted, either example, I think it only works like this.
Yeah.
You know, and again, like I said, I think last week or a couple episodes ago, there's a reason it's in the Criterion Collection, and it's and I know I bring that up a lot, especially this season. I feel like I brought it up a lot that, there's a reason Criterion, spent the time to release it. But it is truly, and I know we've said this about a lot of the films we've done over the years, but it is truly a unique film and one of a kind.
Yeah.
And again, it's a testament to not only the story, it doesn't, I feel, doesn't beat you over the head like
No.
like our mother episode.
Which I still like, by the way.
It doesn't beat you over the head with the allegory, but also the animation.
I know.
I showed Ashley like 2 minutes of it of like the ohms, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't like that." And I'm like, "Well, you're also seeing it like at the end of the movie, so you missed everything else."
Well, for me, I'm gonna try to look it up because I need to get it perfectly right because it'll drive me crazy. But it was almost nostalgic, in a way that I couldn't explain until I got it. Hang on, let me see if I can do this right. Who did it? Because it was a very specific these videos that I watched when I was a kid that I loved. They did several different stories, and oh man, come on. Here we go. Oh, it was Rabbit Ears. That's what it was. They did Pecos Bill. They did Paul Bunyan. They did How the Leopard Got Its Spots. And it was sort of like animating the storybook, right? But you would have really, a really like animated narrator. Pecos Bill was narrated by Robin Williams. And it felt like that. So if you look up Rabbit Ears, Pecos Bill, or Paul Bunyan on YouTube, you can find it, because I would watch those all the time, on VHS, of course. And that's what this sort of felt like. And then, but it also seemed like it was just so incredible, just the sound design and the music. I can't get over the music. It's so good.
Agreed.
You can't even like place it in a genre. I think it's just amalgamation of everything.
Yeah, that was one of the things. I was like, yeah, you can definitely tell this movie was made in the 70s
for sure,
because it's got like this, like funk element to it, but also like it's very synthy and very, foreboding. It's really interesting. But yeah, I was vibing with the music, kind of from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, it's so rad.
Yeah, everything about this movie just checks a box that I didn't realize I really wanted for a movie like this. But the story is really well written and executed. The allegory is very clear and doesn't beat you over the head with it.
Yeah,
the animation is beautiful and unlike anything I've ever seen. And then of course, the music just to kind of tie it all together and bring it together.
This movie's rad.
Yeah, it's really rad. I just said it's animated in a way I've never seen before. that may, or I mean, obviously that's true, but I may have to change that when I eventually work up the courage to watch Feliday.
Yeah.
Eventually, when I work up the courage, I'm too scared. Yeah. Again, shout out to It's Just Cinema. I bought that movie
Mhm.
just because he mentioned it, but it did genuinely interest me.
I wish I was as
But
intelligent as that man is. I need to like message him or something. Like, will you like teach me how you do that? I don't know.
yeah, will you teach us? Will you? If we paid you very little, would you write our scripts for
So,
us?
some would argue that it's will pay you almost nothing.
We will pay you in good vibes.
Compliments.
You like memes? We know memes.
Yeah.
We got some bangers, you know.
Yeah.
God, could you imagine? Could you imagine that's like, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, send me a meme a day, and I'll write you guys scripts. Like, done.
Honestly, I don't even want him to do that. I just wanted to like how do you do it? Like how do you speak so eloquently and so precise? And it's mesmerizing. And speaking of movies too, like I think he is also just incredible and so intelligent. He hasn't done a video in almost a year, and I am freaking out about it.
I mean, you know, a lot of creators are jumping ship from platforms they don't feel like are helping them, which sucks. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you'll
I
always
mean,
have
we
us.
almost did. Yeah, but with that being said, buddy, are you ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you finally picked this one, man, because I don't know if I would have ever worked up the courage to actually sit down and watch it on my own. That's another great thing about this show is it does force me to watch movies that maybe I've really wanted to see, but just like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm ready.
yeah, it sort of keeps us accountable. You know, I think
Yeah.
the only time I just said absolutely not was The Color of Pomegranates. I was like, we can't do that.
Yeah, I don't
Absolutely not.
think yeah.
It was just
Maybe
too hard. Like there's no way.
yeah, maybe that's a one that we watch on our own time and then report back to the other person like, yeah, I watched it.
Well, I mean, I've seen it, so you know,
Oh,
it's your
okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you finished it. Yeah, and I had
And I
not
was like,
started it.
no, I can't. I'm not
Yeah.
smart enough for this.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Yeah, but maybe one day.
Yeah.
Also, sidebar. Sorry, you mentioned Scavenger's Reign.
Yeah.
I knew that sounded familiar, so I looked it up real quick. And I was like, oh yeah, this one. And I'm scrolling down, and because I'm on my Apple TV app,
Mm-hmm.
and I scroll down and it said related Invasion, which I've heard of, which I guess okay, Sam Neill's in it, whatever. But then Fantastic Planet.
Nice
I was like, yeah, that tracks.
connections, man. Synapse are firing. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, are you ready to hear about what we're talking about next week?
Yep.
You know, even though you know,
I do, and I'm excited.
And I wasn't gonna surprise you, but I was just like, you know, I'll just tell him. Next week, buddy. You know what, man? We're gonna have some fun. You know, because when was? Hang on, let me look it up real quick. Because it's been a while since we've done specifically a film like this.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Hang on, everyone. Hang on. Shut your mouth. It has been a little over a year since we have done a film like this. So, buddy, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you know what we're doing,
yeah.
But what do you get when you cross Macbeth with samurais?
A really good time.
Yeah. Next week, buddy, we are talking about Akira Kurosawa's adaptation of Macbeth with Throne of Blood. This was one I got in my collection really early. I think I think after I watched Seven Samurai and I was sold on Kurosawa, I was like, man, I have to get everything.
Yeah.
And I got this not knowing anything about it. And then I read the back, and the first 4 words sold me. A vivid, visceral Macbeth adaptation. I was like, sold.
Done.
Let's go. And what's interesting is this also kind of comes full circle because we've done an episode on the tragedy of Macbeth.
That's right.
Which that movie's also really rad. So it would be
God,
really interesting to see.
That movie.
Yeah. Criterion, I'm not telling you how to do your job. But when will that be in the collection?
Or
I would love to
A24 because it's an A24 film. So like they also can release it if they want.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if that was a deal they made with Apple TV. Like, no, it stays. But I would hope.
I mean, I have a bootleg, so
yeah, I would hope one day that either A24 or Criterion, someone of these. Anyway, but we did Ran.
Yeah.
If no one knew what I was referring to, we did Ran, which was another one of Kurosawa's adaptations of a Shakespeare play, which was good. I don't think I understood understood King Lear as much as I should have to really get the movie, but the movie was so great.
I had to do a lot of research on King Lear, so
yeah. But the movie is still fantastic, still gorgeous,
so good.
But I am curious to see what Throne of Blood is going to be like, considering, not saying anything negative about Rand, but this is Kurosawa in his heyday. You know,
that's true, and it's also Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah, yeah, dude. As I mentioned last week, or 2 episodes ago, we're getting close to the end of this season, and and I've been changing a lot of my movies on my list, and you mentioned, you're like, dude, you have to leave Throne of Blood. We got to do that.
Have to leave Throne of Blood. I need it.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. We've done a lot of Kurosawa. We've done modern and his more period films. I feel like we've done more of his period films than we've done modern Kurosawa.
Yeah.
But man, I can just feel it. This is going to be a good time.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't want to pick 2 back-to-back foreign language films, but
it's fine.
I told you I have a plan for my last couple picks.
You have the option on the Criterion disc, I think, to listen to it in English.
Dubbed? No,
for Fantastic Planet. Yeah, I think there's an English. There's an English version. Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not gonna lie. I guess this could be an oops, I forgot, maybe. But I was reading that there was an English voice cast, and I was like, oh, that's cool, I guess. I thought you were talking about Throne of Blood.
No,
I was like,
Throne of Blood.
I'm not gonna listen to Throne of Blood dubbed. No.
No.
But yeah, cool, man. I'm glad you're excited.
Yeah.
And again, I was gonna surprise you. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna surprise him so good. But then I was just like, yeah, I'll just tell you.
Yeah,
like,
might as well.
My picks are about to run out, so might as well just tell you.
Yeah.
But cool, man. Well, everyone, we hope you enjoyed this episode on Fantastic Planet, and we will see you next week for Throne of Blood.